Okay, here we are. We are gonna go in. We're gonna go deep into that kidney. All right, so we're gonna draw this bad boy here, kind of like a little zoomed in view of a kidney. Um, and it goes a little something like this. Boom, looking like a little fetus or a little kidney. And we got, it's kind of got this, almost like a flower structure on the inside. Oop, that one a little too big. You know, what am I doing here? Getting sloppy. Okay, that's pretty good. All right, so it's got these two different sections out here, and then these kind of all come down together and collect into center here, like so. Boom. Okay, this part we'll give it a little texture, just so it's visually appealing. All right, so this outer part here is called the cortex. Just like your brain, cortex. Kind of outside is called the cortex, which I always thought was confusing because it has the word core in it. But the cortex is the outside of something as far as anatomy goes. Then this blue part is called the medulla. It's kind of like the meaty part, the center. That whole thing is the medulla, and then this part here is called the renal pelvis, where everything kind of comes together. And then this is the ureter. That would then come up, or down and out of the kidney, down to the bladder. Okay, so that's the basic anatomy. If you do a little cut through kind of cross section of a kidney. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take like this little part here, and we're going to draw that. Okay, so we're going to do a little zoom in of this bad boy over here. Okay, so up at the top, we're going to have kind of this gray area. Whoops, too big. So we'll have, whoa, no thanks. This will be the renal cortex. Renal cortex. Then we're going to have the medulla. Renal medulla. And then we'll have the renal pelvis down here. Renal pelvis. Okay, what is the basic anatomy now at the tissue level? What does this look like? We're going to be talking about this thing called the nephron. And this is kind of where it lives, is obviously in the kidney, across these three areas. I'm going to make this a little smaller just so it's not ginormous. And then we'll kind of draw in this little area here. So I'm going to draw in some vascular tissue first. So kind of going across this thing, we'll have a vein, and it'll come up like so. And we're going to have an artery as well. So kind of right, at the space between the cortex and the medulla, we've got these arteries and veins that kind of run around and loop around. It's pretty cool. So that would be, again, like right at this area. We'd have our vascular tissue all kind of running along this. Okay. And we'll see, maybe you want to do a cross section of a kidney when we get to it, when we get to the urinary system in the rat. Maybe you could see some of this, that'd be cool. Okay. Now we're going to draw the actual nephron, and we're going to actually draw two of these just so you get a different idea of these. So coming up off of this structure, you know, the kidney's got to filter the blood, get rid of the things we don't want, keep the things we do want. And so the vascular system comes in and it enters like a little structure called a glomerulus, which is like a really densely spaghettied amount of the vascular system. Okay, then there's other tissue that surrounds it. That's part of the kidney. Like this. And this is called the glomerulus. Glomerulus. And we looked at these actually. We looked at the collection or the tubules of the kidney, which we'll draw next. And we also probably saw some glomeruluses back, or glomeruli, when we were looking at the slides of the kidney. And we'll look at these again. So it's like this little spaghetti plate of the vascular tissue. Okay? Then coming up off of this, we've got the kidney tubule. And this boy kind of loops around. I'm not going to draw it too crazy. Like so. And then it dips down into the medulla. Okay, and then it gets real thin. Dips down in the medulla, gets real thin, and then it gets thicker on the other side again. Okay, and then it loops all around. Again, I'm not drawing this as crazy as it kind of is. And then it gets real fat. So I'm going to zoom out and make it even fatter. Like so. And then it enters down in here, which is the renal pelvis. Okay. Let's keep it like that for now. Okay, so this part, this is the glomerulus. This is where liquid, like the plasma from the blood, filters out into this kind of cup or into this plate. And then it goes all down through here. And it continues on. Actually, I'll kind of draw that as just some arrows, just to make it a little clearer. Okay. Okay, and then it comes around. Whoop. So this would be like the liquidy part of your blood now enters into these tubules. Okay. And I'll label these. This is the proximal convoluted tubule. Proximal convoluted tubule. This over here is the distal. It's further away. Distance. Distal convoluted tubule. This part is the loop of Henle. It's a very specialized structure. We'll talk about what it's actually doing. Henle, loop of Henle, named after the person who discovered it. And this is the collection duct, where the urine collects. Okay? This would continue down. The urine would continue down. And now the urine is in the renal pelvis. And it would go to the ureter. Okay? All right. let's just draw one more of these over on the other side. And we're going to add in kind of some of the vasculature to it. Okay. Let's see. So same kind of thing. And there's different nephrons. Okay. And so this whole thing is called a nephron. And this is like this is a nephron. It's a functional unit of the kidney. And I'm giving you guys the real basic version of this to hopefully have it make sense. All right. Very, very simple, very, very straightforward. We'll call this the blood filtrate. It's real leaky here. The capillaries are real leaky. Leaky capillaries. If you don't know what capillaries are, if you forget that one, that's like really thin blood vessels. Single cell layer of blood vessels. It's really leaky, and so the fluid leaks out. Fluid leaks out of the blood, and it goes into the kidney tubules. First in the proximal convoluted tubule, then it swoops down through the loop of Henle, distal convoluted tubule, and then the collection duct. But there's more to the story, right? That's just like the very simplified version of it. All right, let's draw another little glomerulus coming up off over here. This one's a little bigger. Okay. All right. It's just like we drew it before. We got this glomerulus that kind of cups around it. All right. And we'll draw in our tubules as well, just like we did before. So we got our proximal. And then we enter the loop of Henle. It gets a little thinner. And draw that very thick. I kind of want to draw that a little thicker. Yeah, that looks better. Okay, and it would obviously be more convoluted than that. A lot more loops and things. Okay, then we got our loop of Henle. Gets fatter. And then it swoops around, does its little loop-de-loops, and then it becomes the collection duct, which is much thicker. Okay. And then it connects up and becomes part of the renal pelvis, like so. Okay. Okay. Same as before. Nothing has changed. But we're going to add to it. So what happens is this blood vessel in this glomerulus doesn't just end there, right? The blood vessel needs to connect back to this system over here. And what it does is it actually comes out and it wraps around the proximal convoluted tubule. And it's very tightly associated with all of this. Okay? And it'll also like wrap around over here. So these all have blood vessels associated with them. Okay, and these will have connections, and maybe there's, I don't know, another one here. Let's just keep it that way. It looks pretty clean. Okay, so these would be all the arteries. It's all connected. We'll do one more connection like that. Okay, then we get into kind of the venules or the veins. Right, because these are now going to be heading back towards the heart. Okay, and let's say that these then connect back up here, back to this. Okay, back to this. Let them connect here. More simply. Boom. Okay, so the blood is going to flow like this. We'll draw the blood flow in orange. All right, so blood flow is going to come in. It's going to go all through here. And then it's going to wrap around. Some of it's going to go over here, like so. Some of it's going to go in this direction. And then it's going to flow down. It's going to flow down. And there's even more over here. You know, it's everywhere. And then it's going to come down here. And then it's going to go up here. And then it's going to go that way or this way and exit the kidney. Let's go back over to here. And it's going to come out of the kidney and go back up towards the heart. All right, so you have blood vessels tightly associated with blood vessels are tightly associated with the kidney tubules, proximal and distal kidney tubules, and the loop of Henle. Okay, all throughout the kidney. Boo, 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 boo. And I think that's all I want to talk about in this one. In the next one, we'll kind of go into the physiology of what's going on here. So this is the basic kind of anatomy. This is also a nephron here, tightly associated with these blood vessels. And in the next one, we'll talk about the basic physiology of what this thing is doing and how it results in this stuff right here. You know, how are we getting rid of our water, maintaining our salt levels? Eventually we'll get to pH levels, maintaining our water levels. We're just going to talk about these three right here. I'm not going to get into these. Okay, I'll see you guys in the next one.